Erik Ten Hag is staying at Manchester United next season. INEOS have chosen their man. And next season, Erik Ten Hag needs to change. But what needs to change? In this video, I'm going to run through everything that I think we need to see from Ten Hag in terms of the evolution of Ten Hag as Manchester United manager. United needs to be better next season. That is without a shadow of a doubt. And you can let me know in the comments what you'd like to see Ten Hag improve and what you think needs to change in order for Man United to get back to the very top. Let's run through it. I'm so glad that we can now start having conversations about next season, now that we know that Erik Ten Hag is going to be the manager. But I do think changes are needed. And I'm going to run through probably the 6 main changes that I see. Not necessarily in priority order. I think they're all important. But you need to let me know yours. You did in the live show. Now, these are my 6. All right, let's go down to number 1 straight away. And I think this one's pretty damn obvious, right? That number 8 system, 2 number 8 system that Erik Ten Hag brought in last season, right? It was based around Casemiro as a number 6, Mason Mount, and Bruno Fernandes. But from the first game of the season, we saw that it wasn't going to work. And a big part of dropping that 2 number 8 system is the man marking that was involved in it. Like, this is just, is this West Ham, I think it is? Look at Manchester United all over the pitch. Look at the space everywhere. The space is here. The space is there. How aggressive and high the press was up there. Just tactically, it was so easy to play around Manchester United. And that, for me, for sure, is probably the main and the first thing I would want to see Manchester United change next season under Erik Ten Hag. Number 2 on that list is a better overall rest defense structure. Now, again, we've got an example here in game. The rest defense is what happens when you lose the ball in an attack and now all of a sudden your defense needs to come into shape. You can see there's Maguire there, Luke Shaw there as the left centre-back, Dalot there as the inverted right-back, the defensive midfielder Amrabat over there towards the left-back. It's hickledy-pickledy. It's all over the shop. And a big part of that is that man-marking system. Because if you're man-marking, you get dragged out of shape so that when your rest defense needs to kick into shape, they've been pulled out. So the man marking, dropping the man marking is actually a key part of both how good United could be, how much better United need to be going forward, but also how better we need to be out of possession defensively, the rest defense structure. Both of those, man marking is directly linked to it. I just don't think it's going to work in the long term. And number 3, look, this is what I would say is probably the main gripe of a lot of United fans, was last season, we simply didn't see Manchester United building towards a game of control. We signed Andre Onana, and I still don't even really think we've seen anywhere near the best of him. I think shot stopping, he proved himself towards the end of last season. Let's not speak about the Champions League. But we need to see United build a game of control. Build out from the back. Don't just rely exclusively on a transitional game of football that's NBA, basketball, end-to-end. It's not sustainable in the long term, and it really wasn't sustainable in the short term. But Erik Ten Hag stuck with it, and it didn't work. I want to see next season the reason that we signed Onana, the reason that we have Martinez. And injuries and players returning will be a big part of that, as will recruitment this summer. But tactically as well, Erik Ten Hag's got to switch away from the idea that Man United are just the best transitional team in the world. Have that as a weapon to use when we need to, blistering counter-attacks. But ultimately, Manchester United need to be a team that control the ball and control the game. That's probably going to be, for a lot of people, the main shift and the main change they want to see. Number 4 on the list here, improved squad rotation. Now, this is something that actually is a criticism of Erik Ten Hag. It's not just exclusive to Manchester United. He did it at Ajax, but he has been doing it at Manchester United as well. Next season, we need to see better rotation. Now, if we have a very good summer, the right players leave, the right players come in, the squad will be in far better shape and Ten Hag will trust it more. And there'll be players like Toby Collier coming as a midfielder into the squad. I think we can sell Eriksen and bring Collier through. I think Varane's gone. I think you can sell Lindelof. I think you could even sell Maguire, bring in 2 centre-backs and then have Kwambwala. But Ten Hag has to rotate better. When it comes to the Europa League games, don't be playing a full-strength 11. When it comes to the early rounds of the League Cup games, don't be playing a full-strength 11. Fatigue has been a big problem for United. The way that we played last season, the intensity of it, the man-marking element of it, the high-pressing element of it that came through a 2 number 8 system, and therefore the out-of-possession rest defence structure that was chaotic, and everybody was doing like 100-metre sprints the whole game. It's like watching United was like a bleep test. Rotate. keep players fresher for longer. that sounds like I'm selling Dettol or something. But that's a big one for me. Rotation has to be better next season from Erik Ten Hag. Number 5 on this list. And again, for a lot of people, this is important. That's why I said these 6 changes, I'm not sure you can you can do your ranking in the comments. You can let me know. The reason that we won that FA Cup final was largely down to the fact that Erik Ten Hag switched it up. Erik Ten Hag created a system to stifle Man City's central progression through the middle of the pitch. We had a front 4 that would squeeze in and close the spaces, and they couldn't put the balls through to De Bruyne or the balls through to Foden or Silva, and they didn't know what to do. They had to go around the edges, around the wings, and it didn't work. And we stifled Man City as a consequence. That was because Erik Ten Hag knew that there was an adaptation that was needed, and it worked perfectly. And in his first season, first couple of games we lost against Brighton and Brentford, what happened? We switched to a more direct approach. We won the next 4 games in a row against Arsenal. I think it was Southampton, Leicester, and Liverpool. 10 out of 10 if I've remembered that. So he has shown a willingness to adapt before. Last season, didn't really. And in the FA Cup final, that happened because we adapted and he spotted a system that was needed and he implemented it. And the players understood it, by the way. So it's not as if he can't communicate the approach when a change is needed. Sometimes it is. And Ten Hag needs that willingness, sometimes in game, to switch shapes when things aren't working and not to just remain stubborn to it. That was definitely a flaw this season and something that he has to improve and adapt next season. And I'm going down here, number 6, right? Attacking patterns around the striker. Last season, the approach just wasn't good enough for Manchester United. Rasmus Højlund rarely got the ball in attacking positions. He created chances himself. And this is, I think number 6 is kind of directly linked to number 3. If Manchester United build towards a game where we have more control, I think naturally we will build around Højlund. We will build repeated attacking patterns. Højlund will get chances created for him because we have far more control in the game. So for me, they're the 6 that I've gone for there. Look, dropping the 2 number 8 system, I think is essential. Switching to a midfield partnership. 4-2-3-1. Basically the shape we used in the first season, but with better overall players. I think that's what we need to see next season. Number 2, better rest defense structure. That really is a big one. Man United, when we lost the ball out of possession, was painful. Watching just teams run straight at our defense because there's nobody protecting the middle. That changes if you switch the new 2 number 8 system and you also get your defense to play with a higher line. Make those spaces in between the lines smaller, not huge like they are there. Compact, that helps. Number 3, control. Building towards a game of control. Transitional football only goes so far. That should be a weapon of United, not our default. That needs to change. Improved rotation, that's obvious. A willingness to adapt when necessary. Better tactical fluidity, I suppose. And building towards Højlund. There's 6 reasons. Not 6 reasons. 6 changes that I think we need to see in the evolution of Erik Ten Hag. And I'm going to go far more in-depth than this in terms of a tactical look at how these changes can happen. But if version 1 won us the League Cup and version 2 won us the FA Cup, and we now want to be looking towards the Europa League next season and getting back in that top 4, and why not a domestic cup run in both competitions as well? I think for those to happen, changes are needed. That's my 6. What are your 6? You can let me know in the comments below and make sure you do subscribe if you're still here.